Oh, hi. Sorry. I kind of, for the reason I realized that I didn't want to do the second part of my story, with the second part of the my Pine Rias X male reader story, where I implemented my character Aaron Wynter into the role, I guess, or the spot of the reader. So I decided that, as I guess in a small way, like a small channel way, kind of how popular some of my anime reading fan fiction stories were. I decided that, because some of it I did this with crediting the I read it. I believe I read them out. Like I typed some of these stories up, and I read them out with myself implemented, and eventually I wrote it out and moving my characters into it. That I'm going to do, I guess, another way of reading this, which is you actually getting to see what I'm reading, because I don't know if I feel like the fact that I had like other visuals that weren't you able to read it unless you click the link for it. I feel like it makes it a little less polished, so I'm going to do it this way instead, where while I'm reading this out, you guys, girls, whatnot, will be able to see me reading this out. And a lot of this I typed up. I will say, if I got anything wrong, if I use improper grammar, I apologize. This was a while ago. Um, so if I did, for whatever reason, I screwed up with how I wrote some of this, that's my apologies. But anyway, so the first one I'm reading to you here is, I actually have one that got 2,000 views for, which is ridiculous to think about. But that was when I had my own character, myself implemented. But this one is with my characters, my RP characters. So this one is a feeling of being loved. Rias Gremory X Aaron Wynter. So I kind of did. I don't know if it was similar to how the original DeviantArt person creator made their story, but I did a character info where I kind of was doing some stuff, same thing. These are like favorite color, the hair length, the eye color, first and last name, the name he prefers to go by, and because it was a story an uncle's mentioned, I just gave a random uncle name. Actually, funny enough, I believe in my original one of my bachelor's variant, I believe I used Chris's, I think it's his dad's name, but in this, I guess, timeline, I guess his uncle's name is Chris. He doesn't have, I don't know. Anyways, let's begin. Uh, no, I can't even click it. Okay, a feeling of yeah, basically reading the title again. No POV. Humans like to think they're alone in the universe. That's a lie. Just ask the hundreds of fallen angels and devils on Earth. Most are questionable when it comes to morality. One peerage in clan was overall good. The Gremory and Lucifage clan. Before the leader of the clan Serzex took over, the clan treated the pieces as nothing more than slaves and servants. But now they're more like an extension of family. Family. To some people, it's just a last name. They feel that should be enough for you to feel loved. It's not. Such is the case for the new transfer student to Kuo Academy. He's from America, and he knows the last name isn't enough, and feels alone as a result. Little does he know whose eye he'll be catching when he arrives with his artistic ideas. This is my character's POV, so Aaron's in this case. First day at a new school? Man, this uniform is kind of itchy, but hey, it's comfy. Maybe this is the chance for a new start. And if all goes well, that job interview, I'll be able to move out before too long. Is it wrong? I mean, I'd rather actually be alone than feel that way at home. I shake my head as I enter the gates to the academy. I see some people walking around. All of them are about my age. I see some look my way and begin whispering to each other. I ignore it at best as I can and just head to my classroom for my class. First class is art, I believe. I walk through the academy halls as I once again get a few glances. As I get some glares from the guys, while the girls look at me curiously. I also catch a name Issei and the word pervert in the same sentence, because Issei Hyodo, he's a pervert. if I'm not breaking new ground here, Issei in the anime High School DxD was like the biggest pervert. I'm pretty sure the character himself would tell you that he was a massive pervert. Wanted his own harem and shit. It's like the most goofy, but it's also the funniest thing I could ever say about anime. It's just the fact that the character's such a pervert. Character's such a pervert, dude. It's just so funny. Anyway, uh, must be a creep or a hormonal idiot. Both could be both, I guess. I shake my head. I arrive at the classroom and politely knock. Soon the teacher answers the door, and to my shock, he looks European. He has white hair and is rather tall, not exactly thin, but not obese either. Sort of like an old fat man, I guess. His hair is tied up in a small ponytail, and he has a scruffy beard. He smiles at me. Vincent Dubé. You must be the new student. My name is Vincent Dubé. I'm the art teacher here. Please come in, please. We are about to discuss our first group project. Vince said kindly as he stepped aside to let me in. I smile a bit. I think I'm going to like him. I step in, and once Vince joins my side, he speaks. Class, we have a new transfer student. Introduce yourself, Vince says to me, smiling. I nod and clear my throat. My name is Aaron Wynter, but Aaron is more than fine. I'm from the United States. If my accent wasn't enough to give that away, I joked, which made the girls giggle and some of the guys chuckle. I'm hoping to be a writer one day, but I love art and I hope we can all be friends, I said, smiling. Vince patted my back and went to speak, but was cut off by one of the girls. Oh, he's kind of cute. I hope he's not a pervert like Issei. The girl smiled at me before looking at the boy. He had brown, spiky hair and palish skin. He looks like he's working on building muscles. He holds his hands up. I know that look. It's like, I know I am, but I didn't do anything. That like defines Issei perfectly to a T. And yeah, he's always working to get stronger in the anime and whatnot. But like, it's like, yeah, he doesn't like he knows he is, but you don't need to. I mean, yeah, he can say he hasn't done anything, but let's be honest here. Anyways, great, more competition. I hear one guy say, sounding irritated. I shake my head at him with a frown. He looks at me and glares. What? He asks angrily. I roll my eyes. I heard you. It's not a competition, jackass. Maybe they just don't like you, I said. Seriously, some of the class oohs at that as the guy looks down in shame and slight anger. Enough of that. We have a lecture to get to. Now, who among you doesn't have a partner for this project? Vince asked the class with authority. The boy I now know as Issei raises his hand. All right, Issei, do you mind being Aaron's partner? Vince asked kindly. Issei shakes his head, not smiling. Excellent. Just go sit next to him, Aaron. Here's the project sheet, Vince said, handing me the sheet. I nod and thank him before walking up the stairs to Issei. I sit down and pull out a notebook with a pencil. This is Issei speaking. Nice to meet you, man. No worries about Vince. He's super chill about all this, Issei said to me, smiling. I'm in agreement as Vince sets up the projector for his PowerPoint. I'll show you around. I'll show you around school after class if you want, Issei offered kindly. I look at him and smirk a bit, small bit. I don't know if I should hang around the school pervert, I says sarcastically. He rubs the back of his head, which makes me chuckle. I'd appreciate if he did, I said, a bit more genuine. Issei smiles back and nods as we look through the class. But again, as I said at the beginning of this, if I did, like, because again, some of this was me kind of going off of the original writing, and I don't know entirely if either I may have wrote some of my stuff wrong or not. But if I did, again, I apologize. I'll go back later and fix some of it. Like I'll go back and really update the stories, mainly in terms of fixing any grammar issues I may have had putting this in here. But anyway, small time skip. This is still my POV. I'll try to, if I have to put it, say it's if it's in certain POVs or not, but we'll figure it out. Issei just finished showing me around, not forgetting to point out all the best peeping, quote unquote, spots. I keep telling him I didn't need to know, but he didn't seem to care. After it was done, he asked me to come to the ORC building. It stands for Occult Research Club. He says we can begin our project there since he has a meeting to attend anyway. When we got there, we were met with an older looking building. I just shrugged it off as he guided me inside, where I was met with a rather nice looking interior. I won't comment on it. He leads me to a living room of sorts before dropping his bag and plopping down on the couch. I put mine down and sit calmly. I pull a sketch pad and look at Issei, who pulled out his. Piece of advice: just start with just chicken scratch sketches and go from there, I said. Smiling, Issei nodded and we began sketching stuff down. It was quite a few minutes before I spoke up again. When are the others meant to get here? I probably should step out when you guys talk, I asked, looking at Issei. He shrugged and I looked over and I looked at what he was sketching. Really? I asked with a raised brow. Issei merely bit his lip, trying not to laugh. I then began laughing a bit. The worst part is, with the way you've drawn it, it could work if we made a wall piece, I said, firmly giving into my laughter, which makes Issei laugh. We then hear the door open and we turn to look. I am greeted by some people I know in sense. I know their names are on the school. Issei stands and so do I. Kiba. Issei, who's this? The guy I know as Kiba Yuto asked. He then stares at me for a few minutes before snapping his own fingers. Ah, the transfer from America. I'm Kiba Yuto. Nice to meet you, Kiba said, extending his hand to me. I shake it firmly. Nice to meet you. My name is Aaron Wynter, but yeah, this is a grammatical error here. But Aaron is more than fine, I said, smiling a bit. He smiled more, and I looked at the others. One was a shorter girl with blonde hair. I swear she seemed nunly. I remember like writing this and like I had to autocorrect myself a few times. Like, wait, what? Uh, which hold on. Is that a word? Probably not. The second is a girl with white hair and a bored look on her face. That's Asi and Koniko. Asi is the blonde and Koniko is the white haired one. Issei explained as I looked over them. I nodded and greeted them, which they smiled back at. The third girl has blue hair and is pretty tall. I think this is either grammatical error by the original writer or me, but believe Akino has black hair. It's Zenobia who has blue hair, I'm pretty sure. But that's besides the point, I guess. Um, yeah, she has black hair and is pretty tall. She also has easily noticeable assets, man. These school uniforms are pretty tight fitting now that I think about it. The name's Akino, and I have to say you're pretty handsome. Almost as handsome as Issei, Akino said with a flirty tone, smile and a wink. I raised a skeptical eyebrow at that, which makes her giggle. Me handsome? Please, tell me not to lie like how the sky's red, I replied jokingly. She rolled her eyes at that, which made me chuckle. I looked at Issei as the others stepped inside fully. Is that everyone? I asked. Issei went to speak, but a new voice cut him off. Rias. A friend of yours, Issei? A new voice spoke. A new soft voice asked. I looked over, and I swear time itself stopped as I drank in the image before me. Before me, there was stood a tall woman with long, well-kept red hair, crimson red hair, but that's besides the point. She has aquamarine eyes, which hold a certain sincerity to them. That's again something I'm used to. There are also secrets hidden behind them in an old soul, much like my friends in America said I had. She's wearing the school uniform, and I think it may be too small, or she's just that healthy. She seems to stare at me for a time until I clear my throat to speak. My name is Aaron Wynter. Aaron is what I prefer, if you don't mind. I'm a transfer from America, I explained as I smiled and stuck my hand out for her to shake. She seems to snap out of a trance and take my hand to shake it. She smiled at me, and I swear I felt myself blush in response. Nice to meet you, Aaron. My name is Rias Gremory. I'm the president of the Occult Research Club, Rias said to me kindly. I just smiled at her, and I swear I saw her cheeks turn a bit pink. Are you going to join? We're always accepting new members, Rias asked me kindly. I'm a bit surprised at the offer, but it's not unwelcome. I might. I just need to get settled into my new life and all, I explained kindly. Rias nodded understanding and went to sit on a chair. I sat down on the couch and grabbed my sketch pad. Do I need to go? I hate to interrupt. Said, looking at everyone. They all looked at Rias, who shook her head no. No, don't worry about it. No major things are going on, so we're just going to have a lay-in. Next to that, some of us need to get those sketches done, Rhea said, looking around. A few of the others agreed and got to work. Issa and I went back to it all as we all chatted. They also asked me some questions, where in America I'm from and what I like to do, some hobbies and many other things. He seemed genuinely interested in getting to know me. I guess I made an excellent group of friends here today. Not bad for a first day, I suppose. Soon enough, though, I get a text from my mom asking me to come home since dinner is done. I really don't want to go, but I also don't want to hear about it later. I sigh and pack my stuff up. I stand and bid them all farewell. Ria said I could come back anytime, which just made me smile brightly. I quite like her, I think. She seems so nice. Then again, I could be wrong. I've been burned before, and after all, I wave them all goodbye and make my way home for the night. A night of silence. I sigh at that. Now we're in Rias's point of view. That boy's interesting. I would quietly admit. I guess if he had sacred gear, I might even want him in my peerage, but he doesn't. He does have strange energy about him, though. Odd that he shows up on the same day many fallen angels leave my territory. I wonder if it's connected. Hmm. I also can't get over the way he looked at me. He looked at me like I was a masterpiece to be admired versus owned like Riser did, and to an extent Issei does. I know he doesn't mean to, but it comes across that way sometimes. Which, in a way, yeah, because again, he said he wants to be a harem king, and in a way, again, I like Ria's in this kind of way of saying, I know he doesn't I assume he doesn't have that tension, but it does seem like he wants to own someone like her, which in any world, I think owning anybody is a big fucking no no. It's a big fucking fuck no. Um, Anyways, I sigh and shake my head at that. Soon enough, the door opened, revealing the rest of my peerage. So, any fallen angels about? I asked Gasper and Zenobia. I misspelled him. They both looked at each other before looking back at me and shaking their heads no. I'm beyond surprised at this. None? Not even in the warehouse I sent you to? I asked, sounding very surprised. They both shook their heads again, and everyone is now surprised. Again, I think it's because it didn't like I put Gasper for some reason. We looked around, but nothing. It's like they all vanished or ran or something. Gasper explained as he looked around. Again, I apologize. I'll fix all these grammar mistakes after I finish this and release the video. Um, yeah, Gasper explained as he looked around. We are all flabbergasted. That shouldn't be possible. Nothing could chase them away, unless that boy. That's not a bad thing, is it? Issei asked everyone. We all looked at him as he shifted a bit nervously under our gazes. I mean, less fighting and fewer people getting hurt makes it look good to your brother, Rias. Issei explained fully. I suppose he's right, but I have a feeling now. I know what may be causing them all to hide. Aaron. He doesn't have a sacred gear, but he does have some energy on him. Maybe it's like a repellent to the fallen angels. Konako, I said as I looked at the Neko. She looked at me. Follow Aaron home. Maybe his parents are special and he's a half breed? I ordered Konako. She nodded and left the building right away. I leaned back into my chair. If it is him, we need to protect him, I said as I looked at everyone. No one argued. Not that we would protest that. I think he'd be a great friend, Akino said happily. The others agreed, short of Gasper and Zenobia. I agreed as well as we sat here and talked and waited for whatever Konako reports to us. We're now in Konako's point of view. It didn't take me long to catch up to Aaron as he was walking home instead of taking the bus. Most would have, but maybe he hated the bus. Not that I blame him, stinks inside most of the time. So I followed him. He doesn't do anything out of the ordinary except hum some songs as he listens to music on his iPod. Soon enough, we walked into a suburb. He heads inside the house, and I camp outside in the bush to look inside. He speaks to his parents, and they respond, but the look in his face makes him think he's distant from them in some way. I can tell he's talking to them about us, but his parents don't respond the way one would expect. I get he's a teenager, but shouldn't they show more than mild interest in what he's saying? He seems to sigh a bit, but blushes as he speaks of someone. I think he's talking about Rias. This is interesting. His mom takes more interest in this than his dad does. She says something, and Issei responds, looking a tad. Aaron, sorry, responds, looking a tad sad. I wonder why. He then takes his bag and walks to his room. I quietly follow him from the outside. I see him set his bag down and frown. He shakes his head and sits at his desk. He opens the drawer and pulls out a journal, I think. He writes in it for some time before looking at the door. He seems to shout and walk out of the room. I open his window with my magic and make my way over to his journal. I open it and begin to skim through it. I only stop at important bits. Some things are about his friends and family. I then stop as I see a page stained with teardrops. I read it and actually feel bad for him. He speaks of something he won, some science fair he won thanks to a series on how dinosaurs died. He claims it wasn't the meteor that did it alone. It helped, but in the end, it was all the earthquakes and volcanic eruptions that killed them all. He speaks on how his parents, uh, speaks how he told his parents, but they were busy taking care of his older sibling to be noticed. I flipped back some pages to find the source of this. They caught some illness and it messed up their entire body. Seizures, immune system issues, and so on. I flipped forward once again as I processed information. I stopped once more on his first day in high school. At this point, he says his siblings could take care of themselves, but his parents never came back for him. They had to leave him alone to his own devices for years, and once the situation was resolved, they never came back to make sure he was okay. Sad. That explains why he seemed distant to his parents. I read on and stopped at the page that said he was moving. I sighed and put the journal back where it was and sat there thinking. Nothing about how he could be either repellent, as Rias puts it, but this does give me some perspective. I then decided to look around his room for a bit, and then I see on a shelf an interesting and old-looking dagger. Very old, I'd say. I'd even say ancient. As I get closer, I feel a little unsettled. Strange. It's putting off waves of whatever energy is making me feel this way. This is it. It has to be. I take note of the bone style design before I leap through the window. I lock it back with magic and teleport back to the building. Once there, everyone looks at me. Well, as far as I can tell, he and his family are just normal humans. They found the journal and read it. Nothing of note for the mission, but I did learn about him. I explained as I looked at everyone. They waited for me to continue. I found a dagger sitting on a stand. It looks like a sharpened cow's bottom jaw and a simple wooden handle. It was putting off waves of slight unsettling energy, and as I got closer, it was more intense, but it didn't affect me too much. I explained fully to everyone. Rias goes wide-eyed as she seems to realize something. I know what made the fallen angel skip town, Rias said as she stood up. Everyone looked at her expectantly. His family are the keepers of the first lethal weapon, used to kill for greed, Cain's dagger. Reese explained to us. We were all pretty surprised by this. I thought it was destroyed when he died. Akina, but, but wasn't it destroyed? How could they let something as strong as that stay in one piece and be wild? Akino asked in shock. I have to agree. This cat dagger is capable of killing any immortal creature due to its curse. They kept it as a break glass in case of emergency device, something that can kill even immortal beings thanks to the fallen angel, Lucifer's curse, was perfect for that. But it was lost when the horsemen first came to Earth on a test run and fell into the hands of a family who have kept it hidden since. I guess Aaron is their descendant, Rhea said as she placed her hand on her chin and thought, "Wow." Sorry. Wow. Issa whispered. He then seemed to smile and get excited. If he has that, then he can help us, Issa said happily. Rias looked at him and frowned. Not as a devil, but I'm sure if he knew what it was, he would defend us if needed. Not to mention, this also means no devil would dare mess with him or his family. Issa said, smiling. I suppose the pervert, because it still kind of goes point of view, the pervert isn't wrong in this regard. That may be true, but what if we told him what it was? Would he keep it? Rias asked. Issei seriously. He goes to reply, but shuts his mouth as he begins to frown. Exactly. That's assuming he believes us. For now, we keep quiet until it becomes needed to protect him and his family. I'll need to inform my brother about this when we see him again, Rias stated firmly. No one argued, though. No one argued, though Asu seemed worried. Her nun training at its finest. She knows the story of Cain, so it's not hard to believe she'd be worried. Now, Kaneko, you said his journal gave you some perspective. What did you find out? Rias asked curiously. I frowned a bit, thinking of what's in the journal. I sighed and looked up. Rias's point of view now. Kaneko seemed sad at what I asked. That's odd, especially since she never usually shows her emotions all that much. She sighs and looks up at me and is frowning. This can't be good. I wait with bated breath and slight worry in my soul. Out of everything in that journal I read, I learned one major thing from it, Koniko said sadly. We all looked at her expectantly, and she frowned even deeper. He's lonely, Koniko said sadly. Everyone, myself included, gains a concern to look. I won't go into too much detail for his sake, but when he was young, his older sibling got sick and it messed their life up. Immune system issues, among other things, seizures and whatnot. His parents had to pay all their attention to her as he grew up. They left him alone to figure most things out alone. Even when his sibling was able to handle the issues themselves, his family didn't come back for him. Not to mention, he said he wasn't good at making friends in his hometown. I got the impression that he's never felt loved. Not in the way most families should feel, anyway. Kaneko finished as she sat down. We're all a tad surprised at this. Not a tad. We're all pretty shocked by this as each of us takes a seat. So then, I said, trying to process what I heard, someone as kind as him shouldn't feel this way. With how he acted, I would have never guessed, I said sadly as I looked at the ground. I hear some sniffles come from Masya, which isn't surprising. Well, then we'll have to show how he isn't alone here, I said with a bit of determination. Everyone looked at me as I looked up. Let's face it, he wiggled his way into hearts in some way, and he's our friend now. Regardless of his family situation, even unintentionally, we'll we love him. I said, smiling happily. The others take a moment to process this and then smile as well. They all agree with me. Such a great idea, Rias. We'll become the best friends he could ever ask for. Akino said happily. She stood up and clapped her hands. She then smirked a bit at me. Who knows? By the way he admired you, maybe he'll even fall in love with you, Akino teased me a bit. I tried to scowl at her, but I could feel myself blush a bit at the idea, which makes her cackle with laughter. See, look at her face. She agrees and she doesn't even know it, Akino said, laughing. Some of the others chuckled while Issei looked at me with a raised brow. Uh, they're just teasing. Don't worry, I said in a reassuring tone. Issei seemed skeptical, but nodded. I smiled and I sighed in relief as I began thinking. I mean, Aaron. Well, I said Ian. Aaron treated me like a person versus something to be owned and conquered. He's also kind and seemed to genuinely like me and everyone. Not to mention, he is kind of cute. I blushed more of that thought, but maybe no. I leave Issei. Yeah, I can't shake Aaron out of my head. Now we're doing another time skip. This is now Aaron's perspective, POV. It's been about 3 weeks since I moved here, and I have to say, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I made a bunch of new friends who seemed to like me. I officially joined their club since I was there almost every day anyway. This made the student president stupid happy since I wasn't really into most of the clubs. I'm headed there now, or rather the pool, since they wanted to swim today. Rias also seems to be rather close to me. Part of me wants to believe she likes me, maybe even loves me, but the cynic in me says she's just being friendly and that this feeling you have won't go away anytime soon. I found with that thought. I felt alone for a long time. Too long. I'm hoping to be in this club will help, but it doesn't help unless I'm there with them. I sigh and just keep walking. I arrive at the pool and see everyone already swimming around, short of Rias, Akino, and Issei. I also comment to the fact that all the girls here are here are here short of Koniko, and a girl I met named Raspaisa flirted with him constantly. That just feeds into the cynic side of me. I go to the changing room after greeting everyone, and I am met with Akino and Issei kissing on a bench. They both looked at me with surprise while I keep a flat face. Couldn't even bother going into one of the stalls, huh? I asked flatly. Issei scrambled to get up, but Akino smirked and kept him pinned to the bench, which made me chuckle. Oy vey, I said, chuckling as I walked into one of the stalls. I changed out of my clothes into my swim trunks and left my stuff in a locker Akino safe for me. I thanked her and walked out. I smiled, seeing everyone just relaxing, and head towards the pool until I hear a voice behind me. How do I look, Aaron? I hear Rias ask me from behind. I turn around and, not going to lie, she looks very nice. She's wearing a two-piece swimsuit that is almost the same color as her hair. I just smile as I look her up and down. You look beautiful, I say sincerely. She seems surprised but begins to blush. Then again, that's pretty normal. You can wear a trash bag and look beautiful, I say with a small chuckle at the end. Ria seems to blush even deeper at that. Th- th- Thank you, Aaron, Ria says a bit bashfully. I just smile at her and turn to the pool. I see everyone in there looking at me, surprised as Issei stares at me from a beach chair next to Akano. I shift a bit under the gaze. Guys, leave him alone. I hear Ria say as she walks up beside me. I just shrug a bit and I dive into the pool. When I surface, uh, I see Ria shaking her head at me. I sigh in relief at how cold the water is. I then decide to show off my small trick and relax my body. I then begin to float while on my back. No floaties are required. How are you doing that? Rias asked me curiously. I chuckle and begin swimming normally again. I gesture for her to come in, and she does. Her hair gives off a nice gleam when wet. It's hard to explain, but have you ever felt truly relaxed? Like all your muscles are no longer tensed up? I asked her kindly. Ria shook her head no. Well, that's what I do when I do that. Here, I said as I gently grabbed her shoulder. She smiled at the contact point. I'll hold you up as we go. I promise I won't drop you, I said kindly as I looked into her eyes. She merely smiled at me, which made me blush a bit. She nodded and I pushed her back. I placed my other hand on her backside as I helped her onto her back. Okay, close your eyes and breathe deeply, I said softly. Listened and she began to relax. I sat there waiting to feel her body begin to gain buoyancy. Once she does, I let her go. And there it is. You're floating, sort of. If I were to push down, you'd start sinking, I explained as I looked her over. This is nice. Thank you, Ria said with her eyes closed and with a gentle smile. She opened her eyes and let herself down to look at me. She smiles sweetly at me, which makes me rub the back of my neck. You're full of surprises, Aaron, Ria said to me kindly. I just chuckled a bit before she hugged me. I have been stiff since, she's half naked, but I hugged back in the end happily. Feels nice to be. No, never mind. She pulls back as we hear laughing. Look at his face. It's as red as Rias's hair, Akino said in a teasing manner. I know my face got redder after that. Rias seems to glare at Akino. What are you glaring at? I see the pink on your face. You like him a lot, huh? Akino said in a teasing tone. I look at Rias as she still glares, but I do see a small blush on her face. Rias goes to respond, but a new voice cuts her off. Oh, people are here, a small girl said. We all looked over and saw a small family, a husband, wife, a small girl, and an older boy. Huh, almost like my family. What do we do, Daddy? The girl asked the man. He smiled sweetly. We can ask to join and try again later, the father explained. They all walked up, bags in hand, and he smiled kindly at us. I'm sorry for interrupting, but we planned a family outing to swim today. We didn't expect so many people to be here. Do you mind if we join you? We understand if not, the father requested kindly. I pulled myself out of the pool along with Rias to greet them. I don't mind. What about you guys? I asked the others still in the pool. They all said no or not really. I heard the little girl gasp. I look at her and smile and kneel to her level. I'm Aaron. What's your name? I asked the small girl, smiling. Lilo. My dad's on a business trip, so we're vacationing while we're here. the girl exclaimed happily. I smiled and ruffled her hair before standing up. She giggled a bit. Nice to meet you, Lilo. This is Rias, I just said as I gestured to her. Rias waved at Lilo while the girl waved back. She's the president of our little club at school. They helped clean the pool a while back before I joined, so they get to use it freely, I explained, smiling. The family smiled at that. You're very pretty, Miss Rias, the girl complimented. Rias just smiled and thanked her. Uh, I just smiled as I looked at Rias, who seems pretty happy right now. Lilo then looked between us and giggled. You two are so cute together. Lilo claimed, much to her parents and my own personal shock. Um, we're not together, I said. I said, knowing I was a blushing mess. Lilo seemed disappointed at that, but her parents made her stop talking to save me and Rias from further embarrassment. I looked at Rias, who was blushing like mad from the claim. I could drown myself right now, I think. The parents took their children to change while I stood there shifting nervously. Sorry about that. I know that was awkward. I stammered out. It's okay, Ria stammered out, not looking at me. I patted her back to try to comfort her, and she smiled a small bit. She muttered something under her breath, which I couldn't understand. I decided against asking what she said. I said nothing until I heard running. I turned and saw the two kids running at me full speed. Wah! I screamed as they tackled me into the pool. I make a big splash and come to the surface to see the two kids laughing along with everyone else. Okay, let's play, I said, smiling as the kids screamed playfully as I began throwing water on them. Today will be fun. Now, on Reese's point of view, oh my god, why was I blushing so hard? It's not like I'm in love with Aaron. I mean, sure, he's nice. He treats me like a person versus a prize, and obviously, he's great with kids. Uh, for based on how much fun the little ones are having as their parents set up a small table for lunch with Kiba's help. I'm not in love with him. I love Issei. Huh. I'm not even sure if I even believe myself. We've gotten to know Aaron pretty well over the past weeks. Short of his family life, when we ask him, he brushes us off. I know we know what it's like already, but I mean, I hope we get him to open up on his own. I cite the thought. I just and go to sit on one of the chairs. I just watch Aaron play with the kids happily. You are fond of him, aren't you? I hear Issei ask from my side. I look for wide eye and go to deny it. He puts his hand up to deny it to stop me. Don't deny it, Rias. You look at him the same way our art teacher's wife looks at him, and vice versa. Issei said calmly. I shake my head, not trying to deny it more. No, you say you're wrong. He's just a good friend. You know that? I said, trying to sound a bit seductive to him. He gave me a flat look and I sighed. It just sounds like I'm trying to convince myself, doesn't it? I asked, looking down before looking back at Issei. He nods his head. Yes, I gave him a worried look. I'm not upset, Issei said calmly. I look at him surprised and a bit shocked. Sure, I mean, am I falling? Are you falling for a human? The scandal. Issei jokes, trying a bit to try to ease his tension. It works a bit as I let my shoulders relax. Seriously, I may want to be a harem king, but I'm not going to stop you girls if you fall in love. I'm not that big of an asshole. I care for you guys and want you to be happy, Issei says as he places a hand on my arm. I'm surprised. I mean, with the way Issei talks sometimes, I assumed he'd be angry. I can still live out my dream. If I get strong enough, I'm sure some devils in hell would love to be with me. Issei joked again with a wink. That made me giggle a bit. Next to that, I still keep my promise, right? It's just now you'll have two men protecting you. So please, just be happy, okay? Issei requested me kindly. I find myself smiling at his care. I shouldn't be surprised. He begged me to resurrect Asya because she was kind and even cried when I killed Rainier. He may be a pervert, but he cared for the people in his life. I hugged him. Thank you, Issei. I don't know if I love him yet, but I'll figure it out, I said, smiling at him. Issei grinned as he pulled back. I looked over it to Aaron, only to see him looking sadly at something. I follow his gaze and see him looking at the family. Lilo and her brother are smiling and laughing with their parents as they eat some lunch. I frown as I realize what's happening. I get up and go over to Aaron and sit next to him on the edge of the pool. You okay? I asked him softly. Aaron snapped out of his trance and nodded. I'm fine, Aaron said, looking at me. I gave him a look that said I didn't believe him, and he said, "Okay, just some memories or lack thereof, I guess." Aaron muttered sadly. I began rubbing his back gently. Look, I have something I should tell you. Can we go somewhere private? Aaron asked, looking down. I stood up and offered my hand to him. He grabbed it, and I led him to one of the changing rooms and had him sit down. I haven't told you about my parents. I feel I should, Aaron breathed out shakily. I nodded at him. Take your time. If you need to stop at any point, I won't judge you, I promise, I said to him in a reassuring tone. He looked at me and nodded his head before looking down. He took a deep breath and rubbed his head. Said with his hand, okay. When I was about 6, maybe 7, my sibling had an appendix rupture. It was misdiagnosed by their primary doctor, and it nearly killed them. Aaron explained, still looking down. Koniko didn't mention that. That makes me sad and so angry at the same time. Anyway, after a stay at the hospital, they were brought home, but we quickly learned they had problems. Aaron then stared at the locker in front of us. Two stood out. They got sick a lot, and we learned that their immune system took a huge hit due to how long her appendix went untreated. It just fried their immune system. That was bad enough, but they had seizures that they couldn't control for years. I even had to help keep them safe once in a while. Aaron then sighed deeply as I just frowned. So that's what Koniko meant by sick. So the attention between us was given to them in its entirety. I just want to make sure this is clear. I understand it and don't resent my parents or siblings for what happened. We were dealt a shit hand by life, and I had to play the game as best we could. Aaron stared firmly, looking at me to make sure I understood what he meant. I nodded, still frowning. He decided to look down again. I was left alone to grow up, learn everything and learn every skill I know. To gain my knowledge, more compass, and so on. I never felt I could go to my parents for a nightmare or anything. I felt, and I still feel in a way, alone and unloved. Even if I understand the situation, it still feels bad. Aaron finished sounding almost depressed. I honestly feel a tad emotional at that. Sure, my parents were busy, but they always showed me and Sir Zex, her brother, Rias' brother, equal love. I sat there for a moment thinking before nodding myself. I pull him into a hug, and he doesn't even fight back. I honestly don't know what to say, I whispered as I held him, and I ran my fingers through his hair. He just breathed out in response. But I do know a few things. One is that even if they don't show it, your parents love you, I told him softly. He breathed out again and nodded his head. And we do too, I said kindly. He pulled back and looked at me, and I smiled at him. I know some of us don't show it all that well, like Koniko, but we care for you. You're our friend and we love you. You don't have to be alone anymore, I said as I pet his head. He seemed a bit surprised at this, and before smiling slowly, and hugging me again. And remember, our house is always open to you, I said to him kindly. He tightened his grip on me before pulling away. Thank you. It's not easy for me to talk about. Most of the time, I can ignore my feelings, but every once in a while, it overcomes me and it makes it hard to do anything, he explained a bit sadly. He then smiled more. But it's nice to know people care about me, especially someone like you, he said, smiling at me. I tried to suppress my blush until he hugged me again. Thank you, he whispers to me. I hug him back until he pulls away. And thanks for listening, he said to me kindly. I just waved him off. Of course, if you ever feel alone, please come over, okay? I'd hate for you to feel alone. Or alone anymore, I guess. I said to him kindly. He nodded his head and I stood up. Well, we should get back so no one else thinks, so they don't think the wrong thing. I joked slightly, which got him to chuckle. He stood with me and nodded his head. We headed back outside, and I watched him jump into the water next to the kids. I smiled as he came up, laughing as the two giggled in joy. I looked at Issei, who had his thumbs up as Akino dragged him underwater. Maybe I do like Aaron. Maybe even love him. I need to be sure, though. I don't want him to feel alone anymore. Time skip now, we're back to Aaron's POV. For the past few months, Rias has made sure I knew I was loved in some way. Having Asio come to check on me when I was sick, to which the blonde said she would have done regardless. having Kiva talk with me as I study, and of course, you say I know he's going to be between classes to chat. Seems like he and Akano have been going on a few dates where he says she's shown him things. Man, that boy's libido must be high. I chuckle at that as I do right now. Rias herself has taken the time to get to know me and was there when all my pent up feelings bubbled to the surface in front of my parents. They weren't even angry. They said I had the right to be upset and they were fully expecting me to resent or hate them. We had a long talk and we all understood that time I wasn't given, I can't be given now, but that's why they're supporting me through college when I go. The first step in apology. Rias was with me most of the night as I calmed down. Today, though, I had a feeling I needed to bring something with me to our club meeting. I had a feeling someone or something was going to throw my friends, and I won't let that happen. Now we're going to quickly jump back to Rias's POV. I think it's Azrael or Zay. I believe it's uh, uh, Azazel, I think, or Azrael. I know it's you, Gremory. You are why my angels won't set foot here now. Explain before I kill you all, Azrael threatened me and my peerage again. He's been ranting and raving for the past half hour about how we were hiding something. My brother stepped in front of me. Sir Zax. She has nothing, and I will say this once. Threaten her again, I won't hesitate to take you down myself, my brother said with authority. Azazel and he had to stare at him before Azrael coughed again and backed off. He's hiding something, Lucifer, and you refuse to believe me. Even Lord Phoenix's devils are hesitant to step into town. Azrael stated angrily. Lord Riser nodded in agreement. Either get her to talk or we will. Azrael stated angrily, glaring at me. Issei has already pulled out his gear to jump in if needed. My brother stayed silently as Azrael tried to look threatening again. He goes to speak as he approaches me again, but a familiar voice cuts him off. This is obviously Aaron speaking. Why don't you back the fuck up? I hear Aaron say angrily. I turn surprised and he's looking rather intimidating. The lady says she doesn't know, so back off, Aaron says, walking to stand beside me. I am surprised. Hear all of that? Oh no. You have no right to tell me what to do, pathetic human, Azrael shouted at Aaron, who didn't even blink in response. She's breaking the rules and should be punished, Azrael shouted angrily, once more trying to look threatening. Yet Aaron shows no fear. Though Azrael won't show it, he's surprised. It's in his eyes. She didn't cause your stupid problem, you stupid pigeon. I did when I moved into town with a certain item. Aaron says he reached into the back of his pants, like his pocket. He pulled out Cain's dagger. This did, Aaron stated flatly. Now, Azrael is showing his fear along with Lord Phoenix, Riser. My brother, though, seems only surprised. Cain's dagger? Why do you have it? Azrael tried to demand through his fear. Aaron immediately stared the fallen angel down, which made him flinch. My brother stepped in to calm the situation. I recommend you ask nicely. This human has no reason to care for the balance of the houses, so why would he hesitate to kill you? My brother asked Azrael seriously. Azrael tensed up but didn't reply. My brother turned to Aaron. May I inquire why you have it? My brother asked kindly and calmly. Aaron nodded. Yes, I'm its new guardian, Aaron said calmly. We're all shocked to hear it. My great uncle, known as Crippler Chris, that's a great name. I don't remember the nickname they were given initially, but that's the one I chose. Crippler Chris was the last one, and when he met me, he said I was worthy of protecting and using the knife. He died after he gave it up. Until I give it up to the next guardian, I am immortal. A small curse. I am destined to watch the ones I love die, much like how Cain did when he killed his brother. And I've always known about devils, angels, and fallen angels, along with vampires and the like, Aaron explained to us calmly. My brother nodded in understanding, but I have a question. If you known about our true nature, why did you hang around? I asked Aaron worriedly. He looks at me and his gaze softens as he smiles a bit. He goes to respond but gets cut off by Lord Phoenix. Enough! We have our answer, Azrael. We can't harm him, but he can kill us, Lord Phoenix said with authority. Azrael wants to protest but knows he shouldn't. They turned to me. We apologize for the accusations. We won't bother you or him again. He finished before turning to leave. I said I'll say this once. Threaten my friends again or ever threaten my family, and I will not hesitate to kill you, Aaron said in a deathly serious tone. I even had a small chill go up my spine at that. Azrael and North Phoenix both nodded before teleporting away. I'm not going to lie, that was beyond attractive. My brothers responded, sighed a bit. I was afraid that would escalate, my brother said with a relieved sigh. He then turned to us. Thank you for defending my sister, Guardian Aaron. I will not forget it, my brother said, sounding thankful. My Aaron waved off my brother like it was nothing. Just how she's described you. Selfless and kind. No wonder she's. My brother stops as he feels my cold glare. I'll let her tell you. For now, I must go. My brother said with a small bow before teleporting away from us. Aaron breathed out and put the knife away. Sorry, I didn't tell you all I knew. I just wanted to gauge you all, or I guess test you all to see how you would react, I suppose. Aaron said, looking at us. And to answer your question, Rias, I hung around you all because you're my friends. You may be devils and whatnot, but that doesn't make you bad people. You've all helped me a lot, he said, giving us a gentle smile. He then looked at me. I didn't mean to upset you if I did, he said a bit nervously. I just smiled at him and shook my head no. No, it's okay. Just a bit surprised. It's nice to know you don't care, though, I said to him, smiling. He smiled in relief at that. I look and see Issei gesturing for me to get on with it. I blushed but agree. This has been almost 3 months waiting. Aaron, I need to tell you something, I said, blushing a bit. I just hope he feels the same. This is now Aaron's POV again. I'm so glad Rias isn't upset with me. I'd hate for her to be mad since I love her. Yeah, that's right. I've fallen in love with the Princess of Ruin. As fun of a title as that is, it doesn't do her justice. She genuinely cares about everyone around her, especially everyone in her peerage and her brother. The fact has to tell me something does make me worried and a tad hopeful. When I met you 4 months ago, I had a feeling you were special. Well, we know you are, but you were more than that. But you were more than that. Rias began as she seemed nervous. That's not like her. You're so kind and sweet. You're such a good friend, but you're lonely sometimes. Even with us, we can see it in your eyes sometimes. It breaks my heart a little each time I see that distant look you get. Rias said it sadly as she looked down. I do as well. I tried to hide it so damn much, but I guess I missed the mark sometimes. She then looked up. We all try to show you you're not alone here, and you never will. We care for you, but Rias took a nervous sounding breath. I want to ensure you're never alone. Rias says she took the few steps closer to me. I tilted my head as more than friends, Rias said with a nervous smile. I go wide eyed. No way. What you love me? I asked, sounding astonished and shocked. Rias nodded, still smiling. But why? I'm just I'm just me. No sacred gear, no devil powers, and I can be an emotional mess. Why? I asked, feeling a tad emotional. I just don't get it. Rias merely smiled gently before getting closer and cupping both my cheeks in her hands. Because you're you. You never try to be otherwise. You're so genuine, emotions and all. And that's why I love you and want to be with you. So you will never be alone again. Rhea said to me with a love obvious in her voice. I stand there just staring at her. All I need is She doesn't get to finish as I lunge forward and kiss her on the lips. I have my eyes closed and my arms around her waist as I wait for her to kiss back. She does so eventually and wrap her hands around my neck. I smile into the kiss as our lips begin to move in tandem with one another. I hear some of the others cheer, but I don't. I only care about the beautiful person in front of me. We stay that way for a time as I run my fingers through her beautiful hair. We do have to separate for air, and once we catch our breath, we smile at one another. I love you too, I said with love. Rhea seemed to tear up at that and hugged me gently, which I returned happily with a laugh. The others smiling at us. Heck, even Issei, who seemed to wander in his harem, also seemed almost seemed teary eyed. When Rias pulled back, she smiled at me. You've made me so happy. My father will love you, Rias said, which made me chuckle. She then gets an idea. Hey, since all the club members live in Issei's big house, do you want to move in? That way we can spend a lot of time together if you want. Rias suggested, smiling happily. I look at Issei with Rias. If you don't mind, Issei, Rias said, smiling. Issei shrugged a bit. Nah, I don't mind, but you have to promise you something, Aaron. Issei said a bit seriously. I gave him my full attention. Promise to protect her and never break her heart, Issei said seriously to me. I just shake my head at him. If you need to ask that, then I need to improve my impression of me. The impression you have of me. I said, smiling. Issa just smiled as I wrapped my arm around Ria's waist. Now to tell my parents, I said, looking it down. I felt Rias cut my cheek and peck my lips, which made me smile. We'll do it together, okay? Ria said, smiling. I nodded and we left to go to my house after we said goodbye to everyone. Well, Rias told her close to my house, but the point stands. Once there, I entered and brought Rias with me. Luckily, since it was the weekend, both my parents were home. Mom, Dad, we need to talk, I said a tad nervously. They gave me their full attention as I sat with Rias. Rias has offered me to move in with her and the rest of her club mates. She's the sister of Sir Zax, I explained seriously. My mom and dad are surprised at that, and we're dating now, I said as I held Rias's hand, who smiled. Mom and Dad are silent for a time until both smile happily for me. I'm so happy for you. I always joked about you finding a girl outside of our country, but from hell was never what I thought. Was never what I thought. Mom said happily as Dad, the ever so stoic, quiet man, nodded in agreement. Does she know about? Mom doesn't finish as I nod my head. Mom then smiles. If you want, sweetie, you can. I know you're not always happy here, Mom said sadly. I go to say something, but she stops. It's okay, sweetie. We know why. Just please visit us when you can, okay? Mom asked me kindly. I smiled and nodded my head as I should. My mom met me and we hugged. I know we may have never shown it well, but we do love you, my mom said kindly. I just hugged her tighter. I know, I love you guys too, I said as we hugged. Mom pulled back, smiling. I'm going to get something from upstairs. I'll spend another week here, I said, smiling at Mom, who smiled back and nodded. I kissed Ria's cheek before walking upstairs. Ria's POV. That was such a sweet scene, a small bonding moment for mother and son. Both parents looked at me smiling as they stay seated. Just take care of him, okay? We never were able to properly and always regret it. Aaron's mom requested kindly. I just smiled and nodded at her, which made her smile as well. To my surprise, his dad coughed before speaking. Give him the love and happiness we didn't. He deserves that and so much more, his dad said sadly as he held his wife's hand. I am a bit surprised to hear that from him, but I smile reassuringly and nod. Can promise you, we all will. We are all one big family in the Gremory clan, which is true based off the anime. From servants to my brother, our leader, we're all one big, stupid, loving family. I said, smiling, which made his dad smile in relief and nod. Next to that, I love him, and I'll be sure to show him his love every day if possible, I promise, I said with conviction. Both once again smiled and thanked me as we waited for the love of my life to come down the stairs. Aaron's POV. I come back down the stairs and see my mom and dad looking very happy. I guess I had a chat with Rias. I smile at Rias, who stands and meets me, and we share a small kiss before looking at my parents. I'll see you guys later. I'm taking her to dinner, I said as I winked at Rias. My mom and dad smiled at that. I love you guys, I said, smiling. Both said the same back to me before Rias and I left. As we walked, I looked at Rias. I love you, Rias, and thank you for making me feel not so alone in the world, I said to Rias lovingly. We stopped walking and she looked at me with a loving smile. She caressed my cheek before pulling into a loving kiss. When she pulled away, she put it forward to mine. I love you too, and I promise you, no matter what, you'll never be alone. Not as long as I'm here with you, Ria said to me in a loving tone. I grabbed one of her hands and brought it to my chest as I smiled at her with my eyes closed. And I know you'll do the same for me, Rias whispered to me with love. I nodded before kissing her once more, once one of many more to come. I was alone for so long, even with friends, family, or otherwise. I felt alone, lonely, forgotten, tossed aside in some cases. I always understood why, the bad situation we had to handle as best we could. Then I met Rias and everyone in the Occult Research Club. I didn't feel as alone. Then I knew Rias better and fell in love. And even now, even if those thoughts of loneliness creep into my back of my head, I'll I know I'll know I'm never alone. Rias will always be there to show me as much. Her kind heart won't let her do so otherwise. How much she cares for everyone around her is why I love her. For hate is always foolish, and love is always wise. And I love Rias, and now I know I'm not alone anymore. And as I put in the description here, or the last part, this was created by Silver Zero Wisp on DeviantArt. I will make sure when I upload this video, and any other ones I upload that I might be reading of stories I, you know, put my characters in. I will make sure to link back to the original DeviantArt story or even to the original profile of Silver Zero Wisp. But again, they made an amazing story which I implemented my characters into, and I greatly appreciate that they, because I had a private conversation with them on DeviantArt, and they said I had the permission to do so. So I greatly appreciate that they gave me the permission, and I'll make sure to do what I'm doing here. And I'm gonna link back to the original story like I did before, as well as obviously link to this one, which is mine. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed it, and hope you all will enjoy the rest of